What's up? My name is Kamal Akeel, and today I'm pretty much just gonna start gutting my Z, tearing it apart. When I first got this car, I always kind of just wanted a track car, so that's kind of what I want it to be, possibly a drift car. We'll see what happens. So just gonna start gutting the interior, try to make it lighter, just get rid of anything I don't need. The car already had and has just things kind of falling apart on it, so there's a bunch of dings in the doors, and I don't know, there's nothing in the rear I really care about. And as far as in here, like the CD player doesn't work, and the radio with the antenna just sounds really crappy, so I don't even care for the sound system anymore, so I'm probably just gonna remove all that. And then also another thing is, as far as like the headliner, I'm 6'1", and I don't know, when I'm sitting in here normally, like my head, well, I can feel my hair touching it, and I mean, my head never really bangs it, but if I do make it a track car and I need to wear a helmet, taking the headliner out might create more space. And then I also was going to try to get some racing seats with like super low seat brackets, so I'll see about that in the future as well. But yeah, I guess I'll just start tearing this thing apart and show you guys how to do that if you want to do the same thing. So as far as like weight reduction as well, one of the first things I actually did was I cut the muffler off. So yeah, there was a bunch of there were bolts that went here for the bracket on that side for the muffler, and same thing on this side. To get this side off, I actually did have to take this piece off as well, which was like 2 or 3 10mm bolts. And then when it came to actually taking the muffler off, this part, it's I think someone like welded it together because there might have been an exhaust leak. So I basically just ended up using a cut-off wheel and just cutting it right off. I mean, yeah, this thing's pretty heavy, so it does have some weight, but the other thing I just wanted to get rid of is the tips. Like, they come with like chrome tips, but when I got the car, they weren't even on there. I don't know if they fell off or if somebody just like yanked them off just to mess with the car. But yeah, you can see the brackets here. It was just 3 bolts on this side, 3 bolts on this side, and then I guess here this part just pulled out of the, oh wait, yeah, there was a third this screw in here as well. Oh yeah, it looks like that that third mount and flange, the rubber mount actually screwed into right there as an extra support. But yeah, just cut this off here. The car is actually not crazy loud, especially at idle. It's sort of quiet, but when you get on it, it does sound pretty good just for having the muffler removed. And then I plan to maybe like weld an exhaust all the way to the back eventually, just so it's not like just hanging under the car there. I know for a lot of drift like drift rules, I think it's just the exhaust has to be past the rear differential, so it passes as far as that's concerned. But just for a better look, I might weld something to the end, put some extra piping on there so it looks a little better. So yeah, I'll start gutting the car. I think I'm just gonna start from the rear and just move my way forward. Yeah, one of the funny things I always notice about the Z is it has this diagram under here showing you how to get to sets of golf clubs in the car, which there's really not a lot of room for that. And this isn't really a golfer's car, so I always thought that was kind of funny. So yeah, a lot of this stuff is just pulling off my hand, and it's held in just by normal like clips you'll see like on a door panel and stuff like that, which I'll probably save a lot of this stuff. I mean, if I throw a lot of it away, it's probably a good idea to just save stuff like this, so if you do have to remove a door panel or something, you have those extra clips just in case you want to use them again. And here's the spare here. Like this piece you actually should pull up straight because I broke a piece there, and then disconnect this connector, and then if you want to save this little light in here, you can push it out of this. It goes in from the outside in. Looks like there's this little clip here, which I'll save this and keep it in here. Even with the car gutted, it's not a bad thing to just have an extra light. And then these clips here, they have like a little piece here where you can pry that off. And I guess that actually causes it to come off. Got that little indent there. You stick like a screwdriver. And that whole thing acts like a rivet and comes off. Not really sure what this module is. It says Bose on it, so it might have something to do with the stereo system. I'll probably Google that later and figure out what it is and if I can take it out without having any other issues, really. So one of the things I noticed is a lot of these metal clips are staying in here, and then the little plastic part of the trim is just breaking off. So I've just been taking them out because if you leave them in there, they might kind of make a annoying rattle or something, because some of them are looser than others. So I'm just pulling all those out. And then back here, I also noticed it looks like this big metal piece here, and same thing with this one. They're pretty much just there because the clips would go into these, so you can actually take these out as well. It looks like they might be a 10mm. I'm gonna check real quick. Yeah, just a 10. So now it looks for a lot of these next panels, It'll probably be a lot easier if I take the seats out, so I think that'll be the next thing I do, just so I have more room to work. So then I just moved the seat all the way back, and there's these 2 bolts here. They're a 14mm bolt, so we'll just break those loose, and then there's probably 2 more on the back, so we'll move the seat forward to get those as well. So then there's 2 more back here, so let's take these little clips off. So before you yank the seat out, just lean it back now, because there's a connector under here. So just need to disconnect that. It looks like there's 1 and this one. So there's 3 connectors, the one right here, which you just push this piece down, the one right here, which you push this piece down, and this last yellow one, which the piece you push down looks like it's actually like hidden in the inside of it. So you just gotta get like a screwdriver or something to reach in there and just push that piece down. And then looks like pry off these clips here. And now to get the driver's seat, it's pretty much going to be the same thing, or at least I think it will. So it's got those plastic caps, and then your true 14s up here. And then it looks like the same thing on this side. You just have these 3 connectors. So one there, this one here, which is kind of the tricky one to get. The last one down here. It looks like you just got those 2 clips. Hold them on. Now it should come out. So it looks like in order to get this trim piece off, we've got to take the seatbelt off up top here. And then it looks like for this piece, there's just these plastic clips back here. So just take these off. Yeah, I guess these pieces pull out before you take this part off. So when you're putting the seatbelt back on, there's this little metal part here. It's gonna go in this little, the middle of that, index of that. Just make sure you get that in there before you tighten it down. Because that's what holds this piece forward, so it's easier to grab it once your seats are put back in. And make sure that's pretty snug. Don't go too hard, but don't go too light on it either. The same thing, just make sure that metal piece is in that little indent there. And then just hold it on this side. So then all the screws around this compartment piece were 10 millimeters, and then this looks like these are just two Phillips screws. I guess that's holding it on as well. Oh, and then there's two 10s in there as well. Didn't see that. It looks like there's like a small light that goes in here. Just need to take that. And there's another bracket in here. Looks like this one was for that compartment. So I'm just gonna take that out as well. Looks like this is just the amplifier back here. Take this out. And then these were the other two brackets that held those other smaller cubbies. So I'm just gonna take these out as well. We no longer need those. So then I'm gonna just take these two smaller speakers out, and it looks like these are an 8mm. They'll have a little Phillips place in the center, but I tried to do that, but they're just, I think they're on there a little snug for that. Thinking the next thing I'm going to do is take the headliner out. Looks like we just got two Phillips under there. I broke the driver's side one, but it looks like you just turn this all the way 90 degrees and then it'll come out. Just got these. There it goes. Rear. And then you know what? I'm actually going to put this side back in because I do have a girlfriend and she might want to use it. I'm glad I broke the driver's side and not this side. So. So I was trying to twist the shift knob off and it really wasn't budging at all. It was actually just moving the whole shift rod. So I like Googled it and apparently they're just, Nissan uses Loctite on the threads of this thing when they put it on. So it really doesn't want to come off easy. So basically I read you gotta put like vice grips down here. And then yeah, it's pretty tight on there. So I put it over here so that it wouldn't keep spinning and this would hit here as leverage. But yeah, this thing's on here. It's snug. Yeah, I can see the blue Loctite in there. But now we can get the shift boot off. Yeah, I guess this is just a spacer. It kind of fell off when I was pulling the leather boot off, but it looks like it has a like a bevel in here, so we'll go against that. So it goes on that way. If you put it on the other way, it won't actually sit all the way down. So I guess just make sure, don't forget that. All right, the reason I was taking that off is because I didn't have room to take this off. So now we can get this piece off. So what I'm like trying to decide now is if I really want to take all the carpet in here out. I mean, I've gutted this thing a lot already. I kind of feel like I should just keep going. So it's kind of where I'm at right now. So that connector, you just push down on that and pull it out. Now we can actually take this center console piece out. Looks like there's just these little plastic screws that come undone. You want to get the trim on that side out. There's some plastic right here. Then we gotta take the seat belt off at the bottom location now. So let's see. So this looks like it's actually attached, so you just push it up. And that's also just a 14 millimeter. Same thing with this, it has a washer on it, so don't lose that. So it looks like these screws actually don't need to come off. They just hold this chrome part to this piece. It actually just the pedal just pulls off. So I disconnected the battery before I disconnected these connectors because I'm not sure what this module is for. I don't want anything crazy to happen. So I'm gonna plug these back in. So after taking out all the carpet on both sides, I just realized I'd rather have it in, because there's just too many wires and like holes underneath this for like where like the tunnels and stuff are. This kind of just helps everything flatten out, so it's definitely more practical to have it in. So I'm kind of keeping most of the trim from this point forward in, except for like the headliner. Left this sun visor in, and then the other thing was, I know this seatbelt was always backwards, and what it was is I just looked at how that side was and fixed it on this side. What I had to do was actually flip this over. It was flipped this way, so I was able to rotate it to the right in this little slot. It definitely took some time, and just kind of like I pulled it all the way out and kind of rotated it while pulling it back through at the same time. Kind of just folded it over, and eventually it got back to normal. But that's a lot more convenient for the passenger now, because it was always backwards and they had to flip it over to buckle the seatbelt. So now I'm just gonna go back in with the seats, and I'm pretty much done. And then I might do something with the overhead lights to see if I can attach them back up here, just for convenience. So when going back in with your seats, just make sure that you lean it back and put the connectors on before you bolt anything down anywhere. Because if you do it any other way, then it's gonna be a lot more difficult to put your connectors back in. So let's see. And the only other thing I noticed is there's like a locating like dowel thing on the back one here. I don't know if you guys can see that. So that one needs to go in the front location here. And as that drops in there, you'll definitely know when it's in, because you won't be able to thread these in otherwise. And I can reconnect the battery now. So before I tighten the ones in the back down, I'm actually just going to thread the ones in the front here in, just so as you can see, it's actually not lined up. So it's always a good idea just to get all of them in first before tightening any of them down. So if you tighten the ones down in the back, and when you come up here, the seat might not want to move enough. You can put those caps back on. So the driver's side is weird. It's actually the opposite. The dowel is in the car instead of on the seat itself. So just gotta line that up. So same thing before we put the seat down. Just put these connectors back in. And then for the front seat here, I can put this back in. This is like the thing that holds your mat in place. To get it off, I just pop this thing up, which that's like that holds these clips out so it can't come out. So you just take that out, and then the hole is right here. So you can pop this back in and then press that down so that kind of locks it in there. Now we can put our mat back in. So now that there's no headliner, this can't be held up anymore. I still kind of want to keep the at least the lights. I mean, I don't really wear glasses very often, so I don't really need the glasses part. But let's see. I think there's something I could do with this and then still clip it in there. Alright, I'm gonna just go for this. I'm gonna cut this thing up and see what I can make. So what I'm thinking is that I'm gonna mount it in these two locations right here. So what I've been trying is just checking like whether or not I should use metal rivets or plastic ones. There's a lot of space when I use these two. This one's a little thicker, but it doesn't have as big of a flange on it. This one fits really snug. So does that one. I think those are the same. And this one does too, but the little flange on the end of this one's small too. I think I might just use these to hold it in place, these plastic rivets. So I think what I'll do is just drill 2 holes in this piece and mount it up that way. And I think I'll cut this bottom part off of this, because I don't really care for the sunglasses part anymore. Let's see. And before I actually drill it, I'm just gonna mark like where they would be here. So if I look at that, I'll try to center it. Just to get it started. If you start super small, it makes your hitting your location a lot easier. And I mean, the more gradual you work your way up to the actual size you want to drill it out to, the better you'll be. I'm kind of going a little fast here. Now we'll just see, the rivets don't quite fit through yet, so I'm gonna just keep going up one size at a time until I get to it, because I just don't want to go overboard and make the holes too big. Because the more snug that the rivets are in there, the more secure I think it'll be once it's in the car. So that fits pretty perfect. Cut this piece off as best I can. Now I'm just using small files to get all these rough edges off. Lines up pretty good. Alright. Let's hope this holds in here. Sweet, it's mounted in there pretty well. Looks good. Sign. The last thing I need to do is just tape this thing up to the ceiling so it hangs out of the way. Done gutting it for now. I did the interior. I didn't really do anything with the engine bay, but as far as like things I kept, I just kept like the base behind the driver's seat, that speaker attached to this, and this attached to the body of the car. Kept that. I kept all these like metal pieces that some of them were just in the car for trim to attach to. Yeah, I broke the this piece for the driver's sun visor, so I didn't really care to put that one back in, but I couldn't really anyways without it being held up well. And then on all the trim pieces I took off, I just saved everything just for extra parts. And then I was gonna keep these A-pillar trim pieces just in case I wanted to put them back in. And then obviously I kept like all this stuff in the spare. Just in case if I go on a long trip, I'd want to throw it in there. And then I kept this light as well, so I can keep that in here just for if it is dark outside. But yeah, everything else pretty much went. And as far as the interior, y'all might have saw I did take out all the carpet and everything, but I just realized afterwards it was just a little too bare up here, especially with like your feet going everywhere. There was like a lot of wires exposed, so I put all that stuff back in. But then I took the whole headliner out, and then I kept this the passenger side one. And then for this worked out pretty well. Just cut off the back part where the your sunglasses go, and just kind of shave this up. And then I drilled well, y'all saw how I did it. And then I just taped the wire over here on the roof. I just used painter's tape in case I ever want to take it off easily and there won't be a lot of crap on here, so I can reroute it however I want to. But yeah, that's it for today pretty much. And then as far as like under here, I don't know, like there's all these trim pieces up here I guess I could take off. This one's kind of broken anyways, and there's a big gap here on the windshield I noticed where the cowl is, so I could probably fix it and put it back down the way it's supposed to be, but I might just take all that crap off anyways. We'll see. But thanks for watching, and I'll post more videos later, so peace.